Have you ever driven down a street and seen it? That one house, painted completely black, that just seems wrong. It stands out, a void against the cheerful colors of the neighborhood. You might wonder who lives there, what secrets are hidden behind those dark walls. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on some of America's most infamous black houses. Places where shadows linger long after the sun has set. From coast to coast, these structures have become local legends, whispered about in hushed tones. They are more than just homes with an unusual paint job. They are focal points for stories of hauntings, strange occurrences, and mysteries that defy explanation. So, turn down the lights, get comfortable, and join me as we explore the chilling tales of America's black houses. Be warned, once you look into the abyss, you might find something looking back. Our first stop takes us to a quiet suburban street, a place you'd never expect to find a gateway to the unknown. The house itself is a modern, angular building, painted in the deepest shade of matte black. It absorbs the sunlight, creating an unnerving, flat appearance. Neighbors say it was built by an eccentric artist, a recluse who was rarely seen, but the story started long after he was gone. New residents have reported strange phenomena. They talk about whispers echoing from empty rooms, the feeling of being watched, and shadows that move on their own in the periphery of their vision. Doors are said to slam shut with no wind, and objects move from where they were last placed. One family even claimed their children's toys would arrange themselves into unsettling patterns overnight. They moved out after just 6 months, saying the house felt alive, and that it didn't want them there. Is it just an old house with a creepy paint job? Or did the original owner leave something behind? A piece of his own darkness? Perhaps now soaked into the very walls of the black house. Next, we travel to the rural Midwest, to a dilapidated farmhouse that locals call the Shadow on the Prairie. This isn't just a black house. It's a charred one. Decades ago, a mysterious fire swept through the property, turning the white clapboard to blackened charcoal. But instead of tearing it down, the owner left it standing as a stark, skeletal monument. Locals avoid the property, especially after dark. They tell stories of strange lights seen flickering in the windows, like phantom candles being lit and extinguished. Farmers in nearby fields have reported hearing faint, sorrowful music drifting from the burnt-out structure on moonless nights. The most chilling tale, however, comes from a group of teenagers who dared to explore the ruins. They claimed that, as they walked through the charred remains of the living room, the air grew ice cold, and they saw ashen handprints appearing and then fading on the soot-covered walls. They fled in terror, swearing they heard a voice whisper, "Get out." The house stands empty, a permanent scar on the landscape, holding the memory of a tragedy that refuses to be forgotten. Let's head to the West Coast, to a city known for its progressive and artistic vibe. Tucked away on a hillside is a house that has become a local enigma. It's a Victorian, intricately detailed, but every inch of it, from the gingerbread trim to the ornate porch railings, is painted a glossy, reflective black. It shines under the sun like polished obsidian. This house, however, isn't known for ghosts in the traditional sense. Its legend is far more bizarre. People who live nearby claim that the house seems to change. Not physically, but perceptually. Some days, they'll swear it has one more window than it did the day before. Others report seeing the front door in a different location. A local urban myth suggests that the house is a glitch in reality, a place where dimensions overlap. Pasursby have reported moments of lost time near the property, where they'll look at their watch and realize 10 or 15 minutes have vanished in the blink of an eye. The owners are notoriously private, adding to the mystique. They never have visitors, and deliveries are always left on the curb. What is going on inside this strange, shimmering black house? Is it a portal, a prank, or simply the product of an overactive neighborhood imagination? Our journey now takes us deep into the swamplands of the South. Here, accessible only by a dirt road that often floods, sits an old Creole cottage. Its wooden planks have been painted black, and over the years, moss and vines have crept up its sides, making it look as though the swamp itself is trying to reclaim it. The legend of this house is tied to a local folktale about a woman who practiced a dark form of folk magic. They say she could talk to the spirits of the swamp and that she made a pact to protect her home forever. After she passed, no one could live in the house for long. Families reported waking up to find muddy, webbed footprints on their floors, even though all doors and windows were locked. They spoke of the incessant sound of croaking frogs coming from inside the walls, and the feeling of damp, cold hands touching them in their sleep. The most terrifying account comes from a surveyor who was hired to assess the property. He claimed that as he approached the house, the cypress trees surrounding it seemed to bend and twist, their branches forming a barrier to block his path. He left and never returned, convinced that the old woman's spirit still ruled the property, her magic woven into the very fabric of the Black Cottage. For our final story, we visit a bustling East Coast city, but our destination isn't a house. It's an apartment building, a sleek, modern high-rise, nicknamed the Monolith by residents due to its stark, black-paneled exterior. Unlike our other locations, this place isn't old or haunted by history. Its horrors are very, very new. The building was marketed as luxury living, but soon after the first tenants moved in, strange complaints started to trickle in. People reported a persistent, low-frequency hum that couldn't be traced to any machinery. Others felt a constant, unshakable sense of dread and paranoia that would vanish the moment they stepped outside the building's doors. Several residents broke their leases, citing severe anxiety and sleep disturbances that only occurred within their apartments. The most disturbing pattern to emerge was what tenants called the faceless encounters. They would see figures in their peripheral vision, shadowy outlines of people with no discernible features. These figures would be seen standing in hallways, at the end of beds, or reflected in dark TV screens, only to disappear when looked at directly. The developer has dismissed these claims as mass hysteria, but the stories continue to spread. The Monolith stands tall and silent, a black tower of modern anxiety, proving that new buildings can create their own brand of terror, just as effectively as any old, haunted house. From suburban oddities to charred ruins, from reality-glitching Victorians to enchanted swamp shacks and modern towers of dread, the Black House is a recurring figure in American folklore. They are symbols of the other, the unknown, the part of our world that doesn't fit in. They remind us that darkness isn't just an absence of light, but a presence all its own. What is it about the color black that we find so unsettling when it covers a home? Maybe it's because a house is meant to be a place of warmth, light, and safety, and when it's painted the color of the void, it becomes a canvas for our deepest fears. Perhaps the stories are just that, stories, but maybe, just maybe, some houses really do hold a darkness that paint can only begin to express. So next time you see a black house, look closely. You might just see a story waiting to be told. Thanks for joining me on this unsettling tour. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the unknown. Stay safe and check your logs.